How much inner work are you willing to do to have an entirely different realm of problems? Would you like to be able to pick your problems and make them better than the ones you have now? If so, you're going to want to listen to this episode. We left off talking about Redemption Ranch, a place that you dreamt of, I'm sure, years and years ago. A location that offers, and I've been to, but offers equine therapy and healing for not only veterans, but anyone who might need it. It's a magical place. And I need to go back to that Heal the Heroes event for a moment to learn a little bit more about the impacts that was really there, because I'm sure you're just covering the surface.
Well, if you think about the purpose of the whole island, it started out as having a vision to be able to host certain events, to be able to bring in these great minds to solve world issues. But remember, God only shows you one piece of the puzzle at a time. What it's grown into is, how can we bring people here? They find and discover or align with their purpose. And once they come into alignment with that, there will be so many people out there solving all the world issues that we will have no issues. Because I keep asking God, how can we do it bigger? How can we do it at scale? And it's always to equip people into aligning with who they're supposed to be. Because from that space of enough, from that healed spot, there really will be just the ripple effect of impact is going to be ridiculous. I mean, it really is. You don't have to do anything even monstrous, but if we all come into alignment, with who we're called to be, there won't be problems. So there's one thing that I learned from the ranch, because we bring in these pretty traumatized animals, and it's that you cannot do your work until you heal your trauma. You cannot do the work you're supposed to do. And I thought that was amazing, because we bring them in, we work on them, and then they can go out and start healing others. So the entire island is made as a space for people to be able to do that. So again, it's healing food. So you're healing from the inside out. The environment is very connected to nature, and we get you out walking, we get you playing, we get you interactive with the water, we get you interactive with animals. All of the spaces are designed so cozy for you to just be yourself. I learned that from Nashville artists coming to Nashville and just being able to be real and being able to be raw. There's nothing pretentious, but it's still high end. So it's every element of the island, to the activities, to what goes on behind the scenes to create an environment for breakthrough, that environment for change. And so we've been able to host events like Heal the Heroes. We've had one where we bring in caretakers of children with special needs and give them their first respite. But the island itself hosts 5 different retreats. We've got Dream, where people have a chance to take themselves out of what's been handed to them and ask themselves real questions on, what do I really want in my one chance on earth? And then how do I design a life to help me bring that into reality? Could be a total shift. It could be micro changes. Just depends. But the results have been absolutely amazing. And then we've got Presence, which is a silent retreat that allows you to be able to be alone with your thoughts and start to hear that voice get out of all the noise. No phones, no technology, no talking for 3 days. And then we process. And of course, it's all guided. And then you've got Abundance. And you got to come to Abundance. How would you describe Abundance last year?
A lot of transformations in abundance through removing mental beliefs and the clarity that was clouded through misinformation. Essentially, the beliefs and the words that we were fed that hold you back or held us back or held me back for so long. The Abundance Summit, and the greatest way I could describe it, is a way for you to connect with your future self, the best version of you, and have that person pull you faster. right?
Wow.
Being able to connect with the version of you who you see when you sleep, who you see when you meditate, when asked, what could you do if you had no boundaries, if you had no limits? What would you look like? What would you do? What would you drive or fly? What would you eat? What would you look like? What would you dress like? Probably in that.
I do have two cans on me.
For those who are only listening and not watching, she's wearing an absolutely perfect outfit. It is perfect. That is abundance, though, because that's what you love. You love being in that world. And when you can be in a state of no judgment, where prosperity only lives and you have no stress, because abundance has lifted you, has elevated your consciousness and your awareness at a place where there is no griping, there is no negativity, there are no complaints. If you can imagine being in that world for not only hours, but days, weeks, months, and maybe even years, that is what abundance is about. And then from that, we have love.
Yep.
Right? Where how can you connect even more with your partner, business partner, potentially spouse, life partner, children?
Mm-hmm.
What are some small tweaks that we can make? And what are some amazing shifts that you can create right now to be the better version of yourself?
Yeah. If you can't, it's the Mother Teresa quote for love. It's you can't give what you don't have. Same thing for money. So how can we, for abundance, align our wealth, align our mindset with the long-term vision of our life? Because again, if money is simply an expansion tool of the heart, then how can we accumulate more wealth? How can we create new streams of income to be able to fuel those passions? But again, it takes clarity, because if you don't have clarity, then you're tying it to like whatever seems cool right now.
Sure.
Whatever makes me feel like I'm enough. So it's really important to get that straight. And then again, with love, we do start with yourself, because if you don't love you, you cannot truly love someone else. You're always using them in another way. And you have this idea of being a great dad. You have a great idea in your head that I want to be a good husband, but you can't be any of that until you truly even like yourself. You can't be a great friend. You can't be that, because it's always this like form of filling a void. And that's why doing this dang inner work is so important.
Yes.
We are successful financially, both of us, and we took different paths. And a lot of people ask us to coach them in learning how to build wealth. But both of us are trying so hard to tell you, do the dang inner work. Because if you throw money on top of not doing that, you throw money on top of dysfunction, it's going to expand your dysfunction.
That's absolutely right.
And we don't want you to do that. We want you to have happy lives and to live it more abundantly.
Sure.
And it just really all stacks on this stuff. Because if one thing's out of alignment, you're whacked out. And that's why we have strength too.
Yep.
It's aligning your body with the long-term vision of your life. Like I've got some people very close to me that want to go on mission after mission after mission, but they won't reset. They won't invest. They won't work out. You're going to get knocked out of the game earlier than you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
So with some organization, with taking some time to have a dang vision, and then coming up with your best guess out of your butt on the path to get there, that's more clarity than 90% of humans have on this earth. So it's working for us.
Yep.
You know?
And the inner work that you're talking about, that strength, really love, abundance, dream, and presence. It's inner work where you dive deeper than you ever have before. You're able to remove, like I mentioned, certain blocks, certain hurdles that you have, and ask for more so that you can be given more. A lot of times we won't ask if we don't know what we're asking for, right? We will, maybe should I have this? Can I have this? Why would I have this? Does it make sense for me to have this? I don't know. I don't have anything to do with it. In trading, a lot of my coaching will boil down to, why don't you take money for yourself? Oh, because I want to grow the account $2 million. Well, you have 70,000 right now. Yeah, but when it's $1 million, then I'll reward myself. I'll pull money out. You could be using all of that profit that you're making from trading to create cash flow to pour right back into yourself so that you can get the clarity, awareness, and you can be in the room where the deals can happen where you don't need $1 million of capital to make magic occur.
Well, a lot of people don't invest in their network.
Mhm.
They don't invest in being around great minds. Going to Necker at 24 years old, the cost was $24,000 for 4 days. And people are like, well, what are you doing going to Necker? Da, 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 da. But to be around somebody that thought so big. I used to get to spend time with Branson. He's never given me $1 and he's never given me one-on-one coaching. There's never been any of that. But to get to sit at dinner and ask him questions. Where do you think Virgin Galactic will be in 10 years? Well, by then we'll be doing holidays around the moon. And of course, there'll be a Virgin hotel there and you'll be able to go up there and it will be affordable, kind of, at least for space travel. We're going to be able to go up there for a lovely holiday with your family and stay about 7 days. And of course, the hotel won't be exactly on the moon based on the gravitational pull, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and the thought is, I actually have an identity crisis almost for like a second when I'm hanging out with these world changers.
Yep.
And the identity crisis is, I don't know if that's worded right, but it's, you feel like such a peasant.
Sure.
And you beat yourself up for thinking so small. But I love that standard. It's not that I don't like myself or any of that. I do know it's in me, but I have to normalize the village I don't want to get kicked out of. And if I want to think that big, I need permission. I don't know why we're like this, but we all are.
Yeah.
I like having that permission to say, think this big, Britney. Naveen Jain is my new mentor and I'm obsessed with him. And he just beats me up so much. He's like, Britney, I know that idea that you just shared with me is a multi-deca-billion-dollar idea that can affect X amount of billions of people. But does that really move the needle of humanity forward? I'm like, oh my I think so. I thought it did. And he's like, no, think bigger. You're playing so small. What are you doing? And I'm like, ah. And again, it's never like ugly.
Right.
He's pushing me to think so much bigger and to look at anything I've ever done as like nothing. And I think that can be really healthy. Obviously, you have to be healthy enough to be able to receive that kind of feedback. It's not like I go on and build all this stuff and like strive and chase these things. But it's when someone you trust tells you you have the ability to move the needle of humanity forward and they're actually doing it, then you sabotage a little less.
Precisely. You are given that path. You're given freedom. Your brain has literally created new synapses when that happens. Those synapses are roadmaps. When you sleep, when you dream, when you meditate, when you pray, those answers go down that roadway, that new map that was created. New neurons are linked and they're magical in the way that they build on top of each other. You can truly have a new life-altering idea by being in those rooms, by being in those environments, by being at one of those summits, one of those events. Yeah. By the way, if you're listening, make sure to go to arielbvi.com just to check and see when the next summit is.
Yeah. It's your opportunity. And this is you investing in yourself. I just got invited to a summit in California this week, $50,000 for a 2-day event. Will I pay that? Does that sound crazy? Who's in the room?
Right.
Who's in the room? Because your network allows you to skip levels. What kind of ideas am I going to get? Is this a pitch-a-thon or is this a real relationship builder with people who are transforming the way humanity is even done for the better? So when I first started in real estate and I was hanging out with rehabbers that made $10,000 on every flip, guess what I made?
$10,000.
$10,000.
Yep.
When I started hanging out with guys that were doing $100,000 per flip, guess what I made?
Started making $100,000.
$100,000. When I started hanging out with island owners.
You eventually became an island owner.
Why?
Your power of proximity.
It's normal.
Yep.
If you can normalize it in your brain, then you can do it.
It just starts happening.
You start hanging out with people that enjoy doing drugs to escape.
Yeah.
You start hanging out with people that are constantly just talking crap about people.
Right.
If you're hanging out with people that just eat junk all the time, that is normal. So be very careful what you normalize. And if you don't have access to going to the island right now, for real, you can't pay 50 grand to go be around blah, 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 blah. Guess what you can do for free?
Listen to Broke to Woke.
Yes, you definitely can. And you can listen to anything they have out there. So find people you want to be like. Listen to their stuff, read their books, inhale the way in which they process information, and you will start processing information the same way.
Right. Agreed. I challenged someone. It was really, really fun. There was a picture taken of all the books at one of the events, one of the summits. I forget exactly which one, but essentially, as you know, at the end of many of the events, we go, what book changed your life the most? We all sit around right before everyone leaves. We have an amazing breakfast together, and we share a book that changed everyone's life. Okay.
It's our guest library.
Yeah, guest library, stack of books. Let's say it's 15 books. I shared that picture on Twitter and a few other places and had someone reach out, and they're like, well, that's great and all, but I don't have any money to buy those books. Right? And I said, my friend, here's the truth. If you buy these books, and you read every single one of them between now and this time next year, you will have $100,000 in your bank account. It'll happen. Now, these books, you know which ones they are, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking the best of the best. Did that person ever do it? No, because it doesn't seem normal, right? When you said standardize that normal, being around those people who think that way, it creates what is normal in your life. Mm-hmm. Those normal thoughts then are in your brain frequently. Mm-hmm. And the people that you talk to, they understand. They listen to you. They no longer judge you. They no longer say, oh, you can't do that, man. You don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. They go, amazing. Mm-hmm. What's your plan of action? Who's going to help you? How are you going to get the money to fund?
You got to be really careful, again, what you're normalizing. Because if you believe all men cheat, you will accept that. You will attract that. If you believe that people just go out and get drunk no. I dated a guy. I went on some dates with a guy who went out and got drunk on Broadway and and I said, look, you're amazing. You're wonderful. And you can go do whatever you want. You can have fun, but these are not the kind of problems I choose to have. I want my problems to be dealing with cartel because we just rescued somebody. I want them to be dealing with corrupt governments that we're trying to, work with to better humanity. Like, I want to have the problems of trying to do things that no one's ever done before, not worrying if my life partner is in a gutter somewhere, because they're choosing to just act foolish. I'm not saying people can't have fun. I'm not saying any of the things. I'm saying, what kind of problems do you want to have in your life? What are you going to accept as normal? And keep those standards, but also live by example first.
Blowing my mind over here on this side of the desk. My listeners, my friends, we have to choose better problems. Let's create them. Let's pick them. Go through your list of problems right now and find out what they are and figure out how you can have different ones.
Yes.
Right? My problem right now is I have a very, very hard time drinking enough water and eating enough calories.
A great problem.
Yeah, it's a random problem. That's a current problem I have today.
Oh, right? I've got a fun pro tip though. Ooh,
can you hit us with it in the next episode?
It's a good one.
All right, we'll see you at episode 9.
Hang tight.